Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to start in planting the boxwoods around each one of the quadrants here in the what we're going to call the formal flower garden. We planted the 12 linden trees just a few days ago and we're loving the look already. It just brings so much structure to this space and they're gorgeous. We haven't staked any of them up yet. I was mentioning after we were done planting them that there are a few of these trees that have a natural bow to the trunk. So we're going to have to do a little bit of corrective staking, and we'll bring you along for that. We're not going to worry about that today. This is what we're going to start in with. I pulled just a few of these winter gem boxwoods over the other day just to kind of gauge how far away we wanted to plant the lindens, but this is what we're going to be doing. Oh my goodness. Look at all of these. Woo! And it's breezy today and chilly. So let's step into the flower shed really quick, and I want to share my sketch with you. Oh, okay. Ornamental corn needs to scoot a little. So this is what we're going for with each quadrant out there. So this only represents one of the 4 quadrants. So pretend like you're walking down the grass pathway and the flower shed is down here. The fountain is right in the center here. So there will be mirroring quadrants on this side, here, and here. But what we're going to do is we're going to find the center of each side. And we're going to have a 5-foot walkway that goes through. There's going to be I think it's going to be about 15 feet, a circle in the center where we're going to either put a container or another small deciduous tree with more of an umbrella shape, maybe with red leaves. I haven't decided yet. And that really is the beauty of doing the project this time of year, because we'll get the initial phase of boxwoods in, then we have the winter to sit and think about it, maybe sketch up other ideas, but I think we're on the right track here. So we'll go in with boxwoods, which will essentially create a structure around the whole quadrant. You can see this is where the circle of grass is and the bench just sits outside of the grass. So that will be excluded from each one of the quadrants. And then we're gonna go in, and this was an afterthought, so we are not gonna be able to complete all of these, but we're going to box in or hedge in each one of the linden trees. And then I think I might plant hydrangeas at the base of each one of the trees, like bright white ones. I think that'd be so pretty, and that would kind of tie into the white flower shed. And then the quadrants in here is where we're going to still plant cut flowers, or flowers for cutting rather, but we're just going to plant them in a different configuration. I might do swoops, like, curved lines that kind of mirror this one right here. I might come in with a smaller hedging thing, maybe hedges of lavender, or a very small boxwood hedge on the inside, or possibly even brick lining the ground so that there's ease, to get into each one of these quadrants. So basically we're gonna have boxes inside of a box, and there's gonna be a lot of structure. There's gonna be a lot of opportunity for very fun planting, I think, in here. And the hydrangeas around the tree, that may or may not happen again. We'll have the winter to sit and think about it. I do think having some anchor plants that return every single year, that's gonna be the goal for this space in the end. For many years, it's gonna still be a full sun flower garden where I can grow all the same things that I'm growing now, but just in a prettier way and smaller quantities, because I do not need to be growing, 60 by 5-foot rows of, a specific crop. We don't sell the flowers and we don't go through all of those. So I think having them in more of an aesthetically pleasing design is going to be great. But eventually I would like the space to be very shaded and have more perennial type things in this space, and have it a place where, I don't know, it's just very peaceful and it's already peaceful to me. Even like this is peaceful, but I think it could be more peaceful looking with larger trees kind of cozying in this space and more shaded areas, especially in summer, because you guys know how hot it gets here. But even looking out these windows, I just love it so much. It's so awesome seeing those trees out there, and I'm so thankful they still have some leaves. They won't for long. Tonight's supposed to be 26 or 25, something like that. Chilly. The stats on the boxwoods, they are winter gems. They're zone 5 through 9, and they can grow 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, unsheared. But they're excellent for hedging, for topiaries, all that sort of thing. We have just noticed, and we've tried out several different varieties of boxwood, that they create the strongest network of branching. And in our space here, the way our weather works, it's kind of feast or famine. Like, you either have no snow or you have, a ton of snow, a ton of heavy snow. And so it's not like our plants get a consistent amount of anything. So they're not acclimated to getting heavy loads of rain or heavy loads of snow. So if they don't have a strong structure to them, they want to flop over. They don't build up a resistance around here because it's either nothing for a long, long time or you get a deluge of something. And these just tend to hold up the best for us. They do bronze in the winter a bit, but they are really quick at turning green in the spring. And they are a Buxus macrophylla, not sempervirens. So the English boxwoods or the Buxus sempervirens are the ones that smell. That have, you know, a lot of people say it smells like cat spray, and I can concur with that. I have smelled that before. These do not have that. It's something you definitely want to consider for an area that you're planting 500 plus boxwoods in. You wouldn't want to plant the stinky kind because, that's a huge quantity. It would be very stinky when they're especially in bloom. These are looking so great though. The wonderful thing about these, it looks like we got a hold of them right before we're gonna maybe bump them up into a larger container size. So they're really nicely sized. I mean, look at this. 1 gallon boxwood. That's huge for a 1 gallon size. I am so thrilled with this. So what we're gonna do first, we're gonna do some measuring, finding the center. The most important thing to me is not how many boxwoods we use in a run, because these are not perfect quadrants. It's possible that a mirroring run on the other side might require 1 extra boxwood than the other side because we might be dealing with a little bit of discrepancy in terms of length or whatever. But the most important thing to me is making sure the walkways end up matching. So we're going to run some strings, make sure that all the walkways lead to one another and that we're not, you know, sort of off. So measuring, bringing all the boxwoods out and setting them in place, and then augers and a bunch of work. One other thing, we are going to be placing these boxwoods in about 18 inches because we want in the end for these hedges to be roughly 3 feet wide. The ones in the Persephone garden are 34 inches and they're perfectly scaled for that area, and this is a large area, so they need to not be a scant hedge. We need to have a substantial hedge so that it looks well proportioned to the space. So 18 inches in, and then I think we're going to go about 16 inches between cans. So 16 inches between here and here. It's just easier to measure between cans, knowing that it's further apart than 16 inches because we've got another 2 inches here and 2 inches here. It'll be roughly 20 inches apart in the end, from center of plant to center of plant anyway. But what we like to do is cut a stake, a garden stake or a stick or something, into the right length so we don't have to use the tape measure a whole bunch of times. And I'll just put the stick in between the pots and we can space them out how we need to. And then we'll stand back and make any adjustments that we need, because in the end, these are going to be a full hedge. You won't see them as individuals. So even if we're off a little bit here and there, it's not going to matter in the end. That's what I love about hedging. Okay, so guys, we just need to start in on this. Measuring, placing. Yeah, we'll see what we can get done today. I have a feeling this is going to be a multi-day project for sure. All right, the walkways have been flagged off or staked off, and we went with a 5-foot spacing for the walkways, knowing that we could adjust that if we need to or want to later on. If we feel like we want something a little cozier, we can do that. But I don't think we've ever once regretted doing it wider.
I know I haven't.
No. Well, like the 15-foot wide pathways, the grass pathways, I remember I was a little bit reluctant thinking
Right.
that's so big.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's so big.
Yeah. Well, it's a big space. You know, it's like, 3 acres out here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, we marked everything off. We ran, this string is 18 inches away from the grass.
The pink one?
The pink line.
Yep.
So we put a stake, you can't really see it, but there's a stake over there, and then there's a stake all the way over on the other end. And we just ran a string, and then we thought what we would do is place all the boxwoods. We're doing 16-inch spacing from
The outside of the pot.
the outside of the pot, not from the middle of the pot.
I think I already went over
Did
that.
you? Okay.
I did, yeah.
So we're placing it on the middle of the string, and what we'll do is right before we auger the hole, we'll just pull the string out. So all the boxwoods will be sitting here, and the string will just get pulled from one end. So that way they'll all be kind of in place, and what you do is you just grab one, auger the hole, and so on and so forth.
So you can see the yellow lines. Hopefully you can see the yellow lines that meet in the center, and then our 5-foot spacing right here. So let me just walk into the center area where the flags are. Lines up perfectly with the other quadrant over there. And so based on my drawing that I showed you, We may or may not be carving out a circle in the center. I'm guessing we will, so it kind of mirrors the middle circle over there. But things are looking good. It's hard to set out boxwoods when it's windy, though.
Yeah, because they'll fall over.
They all want to topple over.
So these are 1 inch or 1 gallon pots or two?
Ones.
These are 1 gallons. I think I'm going to start with the 5-inch auger, because whenever you auger a hole, it always is a little bit bigger because it's going to rock. So you'll make probably like a 6-inch hole. So I think that'll be enough. If we need to switch to the 7-inch,
we have it right over there.
Yeah. For those who don't know, this is our auger, the garden answer auger, and we kind of designed it specifically for this. When you're planting 500 boxwoods or 500 of anything, like you want to be like, look at, you know.
Yeah, he's 6
I can
foot,
stand,
right? You're
I'm
6 or
6'1".
6'1".
Yeah, and I can stand and I can put a hole, but I'm not like, you know, bent way over.
Yeah, the short augers make no sense anymore.
Yeah, short augers. I mean, I get it. They're cheaper, you know, but like it's not worth it on your back.
No, it's not.
Like it's not worth
or your
saving
knees.
the money. No, it's totally not. So this is our exclusive size, 36 inches long. You actually can't get this from anywhere, but these are power planter made. They were kind enough to like design one to our specifications.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love them. Honestly, I kind of get excited doing projects like this.
We should run a sale.
Yeah, 15% off.
Perfect.
For the next week. You can get 2-inch size, 3-inch size, 5, 7, and 9-inch. So you can go all the way up to a 9-inch.
Yeah.
You ready to get started?
Oh boy, yes. I need to locate the biotone. I think that might be in Paul's auger. Okay. And yeah, I think we're gonna go through, plant everything, and then come back through and water instead of watering as we go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're ready to go. We'll see how many we can get done. We've got a few hours. End of day one update. We got not quite half of it done. So the perimeter of this one right in front of us and the one right over there is almost done. We just have the L's around the benches, and then you can see we've got the boxwood set in a swoop right here. We're gonna wait to do those at the very end. And like I said, I don't know if we're gonna have quite enough, but we're gonna be super close, because when I was doing my math, I figured we were gonna need 13, but I only think we're gonna need 10, which is what you're seeing right here, which frees up some. And we're spacing these out a little bit further than I had anticipated, so that also gives us a few extra. So at this point, I know we have enough to do all 4 of these, and then I think all 4 of the front swoops as well, which leaves 4, and I'm seeing I actually have enough on one of the swoops to do. So there's only 3 swoops left, and it's possible as we space and plant more of these boxwoods, we will end up with more extras. So we'll see how much of it we can get done this fall. It'd be super fun if we could get close. I love seeing the structure go in here. We are going to be mulching this as well, so that will be, of course, in the very end. And then while we have the strings all run, we're gonna go ahead and put a pin in the ground. Oh, Paul already did it. Look at that. Paul put a pin in the ground so that we would know exactly where the center of this quadrant is. So when we get ready to do a circle, if that's what we decide, we can just tie something onto that and kind of use it as a compass and go around. Or, you know, at least we just know where the center is if we want to set something in here, decorative, that sort of thing. But I'm just loving how this is turning out. Oh my goodness. Also, like, I think there's too many boxwoods right here, so that might free up some. But what we need to do, once we've got the perimeters all planted, we're gonna come in and rerun strings in here so we can get our square really even on all the sides. The wind was actually a little bit nice this afternoon as we were getting boxwoods in the ground, but it turned really chilly all of a sudden. So I'm kind of glad that we're packing it in for the day. And I don't know if you can see how wobbly these grass lines are. Oh my goodness, to get this thing straight. We did not use the grass as our measuring line. We put a stake in on one end that was 18 inches roughly in, and then put a stake in on this side and ran a string like that, because in the end, it doesn't really matter where the grass line is because that can move really easily. It matters where the boxwoods are planted. So those are all lined up. It's a little deceiving right now because there's boxwoods that have fallen. They're like blown over into the hedge, but yeah, it's a nice straight line. These look beautiful. So we will be back out here tomorrow morning to get started again and hopefully finish this thing up. All right, guys, day 2. It is currently 34 degrees. Let's go. Keeps moving like right my way.
He just wants to be your friend.
Yeah. All right, you guys, it's all done. 500 boxwoods in the ground, and it looks spectacular. It actually feels more like my garden than it ever has before. Look at this. I absolutely love it. Oh, just seeing all of that winter interest and seeing it from our windows last night, even though it wasn't all the way done, it just made me so happy to see all these evergreens out here. Now, we added the swoops on as an extra. When I initially ordered the boxwoods, I ordered pretty heavy, but it was just to be around the perimeter, and we added that on after the fact, and we were able to complete 10 out of 12. So the 2 trees on this side, on the far end, do not have a swoop of boxwoods. We need 22 boxwoods to finish those swoops. We ended up with 6, so we can do half of one of the swoops, and we did check Jaker's availability, and they have some. So we're gonna run over there tomorrow morning to pick up the last bit of boxwood so we can completely finish all the swoops. Perimeter's done, I cannot believe it. And there's plenty of space. We wanted to make sure that the trees looked pretty much centered. It's not perfectly centered, but it's pretty darn close. And should we go in with hydrangeas or something like that around the tree, I wanted there to be enough enough space rather, for like a 3 to 4 foot wide variety of hydrangea. That way, it won't overtake the space, but there'll be enough space for it to grow and get enough, air and light and all of that business. Let's take a look down the center. We did pick up all the strings, but for now we left all of the stakes. Since, everybody did all the measuring, we thought let's leave the stakes, so if we need to run the lines again to make our center area, we can do that. We talked about possibly putting brick sidewalks through this area. Maybe we'll leave it mulch. Maybe we'll just do a brick border along the walkways. We've got all kinds of different options. It's going to be so fun to dream about it this winter. So we're walking down the walkway, and we can either continue on down this way, or we can make a right and go down this pathway. And Aaron was so thrilled that the hose ended up being right in line with the walkway, so that if we need to use it, we can pull it straight down the walkway and we don't have to go around any plants to pull out the hose. It's the little things, it truly is, that make life more pleasant. Can you just imagine how this is going to shape up though when the trees get a little bit of size and the hedging is a little bit more full? Although I really like the way baby hedges look. I don't know why. I used to be impatient about it and I used to want them to be a hedge right now, but there's something about the imperfection of the baby hedge that's comforting in a way. I don't even know if that's the right word, but when you put a hedge in, the plants are not perfectly symmetrical. The grass line isn't symmetrical, but in the end, when things grow up and fill in, you can hedge them however you want and make your lines as straight as you want. But there's something about just seeing these all lined up in a row that's really fun. Like, look at this. All lined up in a nice row. Gorgeous. So when you look over this one, you can see the 2 swoops that are not done, and it just feels incomplete. I'm so happy we went ahead with that idea, because without them, it's kind of like missing something, That one's done over there. And I love this. I love that we're going to have such a formal space, flanked by a very informal space, and then our orchard, which, we let the grass in there typically grow a little bit longer. Aaron just mowed it real short. It's the last time he mowed it for the season, so that when the spring bulbs come up, that we'll be able to see the short ones over the grass. There's my kneeling pads. The kids brought them out here. You probably noticed I wasn't using them because I couldn't find them. How funny. Well, there we go. Here's a look back down this way from the flower shed toward the fountain. Oh, gorgeous. Now we did get all of them watered in really well, and we are going to come in with mulch. Aaron ordered more mulch yesterday, so we will at least do the swoop areas and along the edges around the plants so that we can nicely tuck them in. As far as planting this late in the season, if you have been watching our videos for more than 1 year and you have seen us go through a fall and winter, we typically plant as long as we can dig a hole. I feel like plants are better off in the ground, insulated from all sides, than trying to winter them over in their nursery containers, like far better off. You do have to be mindful of water. Just because they're in the ground and watered in doesn't mean that we can just forget about them for the winter. We will make sure to water these from time to time. Usually we check on things every couple of weeks, along with our containerized plants, especially if we've had a long spell of dry without any moisture. We have 3 days of rain on the forecast starting, I think, late this evening, and we typically have enough moisture throughout that things don't need a lot of water. But if we happen to have a lot of wind and not a lot of moisture, we have to make sure to get out here. We fill up our tank and water things, especially those things that we planted late. Some professionals in the industry will tell you to plant things 6 weeks before your average first hard frost, which is 28 degrees or lower, to minimize risk. The plants have a chance to root in, and they're just, more comfortable in their hole, more established. And, I can see where that makes sense, but I also want to keep planting. And we haven't had a tremendous amount of loss from it. In fact, I can't really even think of anything off the top of my head. Oh, there's a bunch of quail. Do you see them? They're going under that bench over there. Oh, there's one on top of the bench. We're kind of far from them. There's a whole bunch. How fun. Anyway, I think I was saying that I can't remember off the top of my head something in particular that we have lost due to planting it late. I don't know. We had one of the big evergreens installed, I think the first week of January this year, because the ground was thawed out enough that we were able to do it. So we just kind of play it by ear and keep plugging along. If we have things to plant, we still plant. Anyway, guys, that is it for this project. Oh my word, was it ever satisfying. A lot of hard work for sure, but very satisfying. One last look here, maybe from a different angle. Oh, it is so pretty. And this makes me feel really excited because, like I said, it feels more like my space, because this is the style of garden that really speaks to me, that I really love. And you know, I like a lot of different styles of gardens, you know, hence the one right behind me. It's fun to experiment with different things, but when I come back to this type of a garden, it just brings me so much peace, the order of it. I don't know why. And it won't be super orderly looking in the end. I mean, it'll have the structure, but I'm going to still be planting a lot of our cut flowers in here, and it'll be fun to see how it takes shape. Really fun. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.